All right. Hello, everyone. In this video, I'm going to be talking about groups and group counseling and kind of just giving a general overview. And I'm getting the material from the group counseling text by Jacobs, Schimmel, Mason, and Harville. So that's kind of where I'll be drawing from for these videos. Uh, so obviously the text is going to go into a lot more details. I'm just kind of reviewing the first chapter and pulling some ideas from it. But a few thoughts of things that, not that they're the most important, but just some things that I wanted to prime your brains on of things that are important about groups and when you're being introduced to groups. I really resonated with the idea that, individual counseling is incredibly meaningful. Evidence suggests and shows that it works. But counseling is going to be a really needed service, and it already is, just due to the number of individuals on wait lists. Groups can be more efficient. They can be, a way to get more clients supported, but it can also be a beneficial, platform for members to help in the healing process of each other as well. So I view group counseling as more of a must rather than just like, hey, if I want to do it, then I'll do it. But no, it's like really the needs of society are almost calling for group work, at least in some form or fashion, to be part of the work that counselors do. Just a brief reaction. Like, I don't know how to word this. Like, I had some of my own reactions to the Jacobs et al. Text, and I think there's a lot of great information, a lot of like meaningful, helpful ideas. It's very kind of practical oriented towards like what to do and like how to. It gives lots of examples of how to say certain skills, and I think that's really important. I think there is kind of a bias towards being more active, directive, and structured in sessions, though, which is fine. That's a way to do group, not the only way. Like there are all these continuums of being okay. To what extent am I inactive or directive? It's not that we're one or the other. We're somewhere on that continuum, and it's not that we're either directive or non-directive. We're usually somewhere in between, and we all, as individuals and as counselors, need to figure that out. Where do we lie on these continuums of the roles of group leaders and counselors, as well as structure? Am I very structured? Am I more non-structured? Where am I at in that continuum? So once again, I think the authors kind of lean in the direction of being that it's good to be active, directive, and structured. And once again, like I said, there's a place for that, but there's a place also for being on more aligned to the other side of the continuum. Uh, so for example, I like group labs for Adams State students. It's often, not always, it depends on the instructors, but it can be less directive and less structured and much more just kind of interpersonally allowing the group to kind of lead. Not that like takes the group leader responsibility away from you, but it's like it's more of a shared collaborative approach, or it can be. Uh, so, anyways, I just want you to all be thinking about that of like where are you at in those continuums? Where is your natural inclination to be, on those continuums? And then that could change throughout time. As you learn more, you might say, oh, there's advantages to being either more active or indirect or non-directive, etc. So be thinking about that for yourselves. Uh, the if there were like if there was one point that I hope that you'll all get from this video, though, it's that it's this. So the power of group is that the group is a social microcosm. Jacobs et al. Talked about on page 6 of chapter 1 or of their textbook chapter, or excuse me, page 6. So on real life approximation. So groups allow, instead of like an individual session where the client might be talking about their relationships outside, maybe the relationship with a partner, with their children, but those relationships are distant because they're not there in session. But what often can occur in groups is that those dynamics that are being played out in the individual life of the client begin to reenact themselves in the session, in the moment of the session with the other group members. So their way of being outside in other relationships begins to influence how they show up in the group process. So then, that is, there's so much power in that. So now we're not talking about the relationship or the experience from a distance. It's being experientially reenacted. So then the group leader and the group process can like work to shift ways of being. in the moment, as well as like modeling and shaping and interpersonally learning and by experiencing vicarious learning from other members of how they show up in the group. And it can start to kind of shift, ooh, maybe I need to show up different in these relationships, and I can practice it. I can do it right now. So that, I think that's such a powerful part of group work. That can be a part of individual counseling work, but it's a lot more organic in groups. Uh, so I think the second point that I think would be most important to get from this video is the need for theory, the need for like a clear, as clear as possible conceptualization of, what are my beliefs as a counselor, as a group leader. So theory can act as a conceptual map. If any of you have like watched my other videos or taken classes from me, I think you've probably heard me use some of that language of a theory being a conceptual map. So what I mean by that is theory is a map showing you where are we? Like, where am I in this group work? What's happening? Like, where are we at right now? And where do we need to go? Uh, so yeah, theory can kind of answer those questions of like, okay, what's happening in the group right now? In the language of the theory, what is occurring? And then what is my role to help us get moving forward? And once again, that answer to that of what is my role to get us moving forward is very different based on different theories, but they all have their own language and their own, philosophical traditions of how to do that. So your task as a group leader is to have a conceptualization of what are your beliefs, what are your theoretically influenced perspectives that can help provide you with a conceptual map so that you can better be informed of like how to intentionally help the group process. So once again, that's on page 23. Jacobs et al. Talks about that. So I'd encourage you to be thinking about that throughout all the videos that I do and throughout the class that I'm teaching on group counseling. The last thing that I want to touch on, and then I'll be done, is the group leader roles. So throughout the group counseling text, it's going to be talking about the different roles and the different types of groups, and then how that influences the role of the group leader, and those can shift and change based on the purpose, the needs of the group. So yeah, but it's important that you're always wrestling with and trying to understand, what does my role need to be here? What is my purpose in this group as the leader? So for example, on page 15 and 16, it talks about counseling and therapy groups. But at the very end, I'll just read a little bit. It says opinions vary widely on the role of the members, the role of the leader, the appropriate tone, and the use of theory in the group. Then just a little bit more. Some believe that members should be responsible for the majority of therapy, with supportive probing and encouragement from the leader. Others feel that a confrontational, aggressive approach works best, such as in positive peer culture groups. Some believe that individual therapy by the leader, while most of the group observes, is very beneficial, etc. So the role of the counselor can shift. On page 16, it continues to go into that a bit more. But my invitation to you is to keep thinking about that. What are your beliefs when you're reading through the various material? What roles resonate with you, and why? So you can kind of start to get that intentionality inside of you of like, what are my beliefs? What are my emerging beliefs? And how do I need to be? How do I need to show up in groups as the leader? And you need to have some reasoning of why you need to show up a certain way. And that's where theory can influence you. That's where reflecting on the roles of the group leader can help you as well. So anyways, those, before I keep going on too long, I'll pause there. But those are a few things, just as we're introducing groups, a few key principles and concepts to be thinking about. But more to come through this video. There's through these videos that I throw out there, I'm going to try to share, real life examples, but also for those of you taking the Adams State course, we'll have videos in there, like demonstration videos in the class that you'll be able to observe as well. So you'll have that throughout the class. So anyways, those are a few thoughts, and let me know if you have questions or comments.